Good evening, everybody. Hi, I'm Glenn Kennedy. This is my partner, Suagino. We want to thank everybody for coming out on a rainy Wednesday night. Today, I want to introduce some people. First of all, we have our Councilman Oli here. Oli Catos. Say hi.
Oh, hi everybody.
Hi, Oli.
I have our former mayor here. No, Brian Chapatabai's here. I have school board member Mike Flowers here. I would like to introduce the police department. We have Chief Tony Cortina. We have the fire chief, Mr. Mike Brown. We have Lieutenant Danny Armas. And Lieutenant Keith Freeman. I'd like to say special thanks to Mr. Buzz Street, Matt, and Doug, supplying all the food. Now, I'd like to get going. Great. It's done, right? Done. Okay.
And also Mario for doing all of our PA.
Yeah.
These guys know what's going on with because who knows?
At this point, I'll let Sue go forward.
Well, we had our very first residents meeting. Going back, we started it, our first meeting was in 2018. And in 2018, it was also Wednesday night, and we started the West Covina Residents Take Our Neighborhoods Back in 2018 due to the homelessness that had increased in the inner part of our West Covina. And mainly it was because in this West Covina where it's centered by bonds, and that is because we had DMV there, we had Social Security, we had the free clinic. There was just a little dynamic right there that kind of drew everybody to it. And that's when it kind of all started to spill over. So we kind of just rolled from that. And from 2018, we've kind of branched out to where we've wanted it, and it's just grown. I mean, it went from, I think we planned on having 20 people that night, and we had over 100 people. And there were people there that had just purchased their home, people that bought here in the 50s. There were grandparents that came. I mean, everybody brought their unique situation and their concerns to Residents Page. And it's just kind of stumbled and grown, and we've been able to bring in different departments and different entities in the city so that we can kind of support the conversations that we have to have, because we need to have conversations in our neighborhoods, because the more we talk to each other, the more we voice concerns to each other, we'll find solutions for them. We might not find them all. It's never going to be a fix-all. Homelessness is never going to be a fix-all. In fact, it's funny is that we're called SPA 3, and it's San Gabriel Valley. And I had gone to this meeting. I was going through all my paperwork for this meeting. And in SPA 3 for San Gabriel Valley, we had 3,000 homeless people in this meeting that I went to in 2015. We now have like 18,000. So we're not fixing the problem. And I don't know that throwing the money at it that they're trying to do is going to fix that problem either. But I think we're moving into a different direction where there's accountability on all different levels, and people are trying to figure out how to, what their part in fixing this is going to be. It's not, like I said, it's not ever going to be fixed, but the police department, when this all first started, it kind of landed all on them. And the police department, it has never been their job to be homeless fix-alls. They're not part of mental illness. They don't have that part. They're law enforcement officers, and they do that part of it. So, and the fire department, it kind of landed on everybody. I think everybody's trying to find their part with LACADA. Right now we have LACADA. They will speak to LACADA. LACADA is an organization. I guess we can let them do that.
Let the chief explain. So,
Yeah.
let me interrupt you. So, what we want to do, we all know this, like every city, we have our problems. We need to address these problems, and we like to move in a positive direction. So, why don't we introduce the chief? Everybody fill out a card?
Did anybody who wanted one?
Anybody want to fill out a card, just fill out a card so we can answer all questions.
And it's gonna be all questions. There's questions, that's the concerns that we did on residents page. There was, a whole body of different questions. You know, there's, all the way from parking to illegal parking to the streets around the schools. I mean, tonight we're gonna have a little mix of all of it. So I hope that everybody gets their point across. So go ahead, Chief.
So at this point, I'd like to introduce the Chief of Police, Mr. Tony Cortina. You can speak at that, or you can speak at the podium.
Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Hi, my name is Tony Cortina. I'm your new police chief in City West Covina. I'm very proud to serve this community. I've dedicated my entire adult life to be serving and protecting our community. So I take this responsibility very seriously. Our main mission is to provide the highest level of safety and service to our community. And we do that through earning your trust and legitimacy on a daily basis. We do that through displaying the utmost professionalism and training our officers and personnel to provide that service in the most professional way possible. And we do that through community engagement. We don't exist without the community. And like Sir Robert Peel said when policing was first defined, police are the people and the people are the police. So the way we police the community is the way that you expect us to. We don't dictate how our community is policed. It comes from what you expect of us, and we learn that through our interactions with you, through transparency in our department, but most importantly is the relationships we build with our community members. And I've been in policing for over 28 years, and I'm very proud of where we work. I'm very proud of the support we have from our community, and I'm very proud of our personnel and the service we provide for our community as well. I have Lieutenant Danny Armas here. He is your service area lieutenant if you happen to live in service area 3. And we have some service area maps here, and you can see it online on our website where your service area is. Most of the questions regarding the police department's position and how we work with the unhoused community, he's going to be answering that with a slideshow. And I think what's important, like Sue said, is when we first started experiencing the influx of homelessness stipulated issues in our city, it kind of became the default issue of the police department to just solve it. And, through some growing pains and learning, it's taken society some time to realize that homelessness is not a police issue. We assist our unhoused population when we can, but our role is primarily enforcing the law. So, but we have to do so with empathy to those in need. And there's a lot of people out there on the streets that have substance abuse issues. They have mental health issues, and they don't know how to get off the streets. And oftentimes, just arresting these people is just going to make the problem worse for these people. So our number one effort, always seeks the safety of our community. But in regards to the unhoused population, we have some great partnerships with Ocado. They've been fantastic because they deal with the issues such as abuse problems and provide sheltering, housing, helping people on the streets that have lost everything to get their ID cards, get social security cards, get their clothing, help them rebuild relationships with family members that might be local or even out of state. And to me, that's a really rewarding part of this job. When it comes to enforcing laws, though, we do enforce laws, and people are violating the laws. And and the best solution at that time is to effect an arrest. We will do that as well. So, most important thing is just find that balance and use common sense on how to deal with every single situation out there. And that's why I credit our personnel having that judgment, that training, to be able to make the right decision at that time. So, I also have Lieutenant Keith Freeman out here. He was your service area 1 lieutenant. He's now the administrative lieutenant and also oversees all of our special operations. But he's just here to support our community and to support the team that's up here. And before I turn it over to, I guess Danny will do his presentation, then we'll turn it over to Chief Brown from the fire department. He has some things to say and can answer some questions related to the fire department.
Want to go first?
Mike, would you like to come up first, Mike? Sure. Okay, sorry, we have to Mike Brown up first with the fire department.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. Glenn and Sue, thanks for putting this on. My name is Mike Brown. I'm the acting fire chief for your fire department. And like Tony said, we're here for you guys. We wouldn't be here if you didn't need us, and that's our goal, is to find out what your needs are and how we can best meet your goals. I've been in this city for 22 years. I feel like I'm vested in this city. My wife's uncle was a battalion chief for this department. Then I came on and I also worked with my brother-in-law. So I feel like it's a little family business, even though I don't live here in the city. But I look forward to answering any questions that you have. I only have a short time that I can be here tonight, but after I leave, if you come up with any questions or think of anything, please fill out a card, get it to Glenn and Sue, and they'll get it to me, and I'll get you the answers that you're looking for.
We had 3 questions. Nobody filled out questions that pertain to him, to Chief, right now. There were 3 questions that came through on Residents page, and one was the fire hydrants, the schedules, and the maintenance. The other question was the blue dots on the street, and the other question was if they would like you to give an overview of the working fire stations.
Okay. I'll start with the last one. So in our city, we have 5 fire stations that serve the community. In those stations, we have 4 engines, 1 Quint, which is our ladder truck, and then 3 paramedic ambulances. And then there's an on-duty shift commander known as your assistant chief. That is our daily staffing for you. The Quint has 4 people assigned to it every day. Each of the engines have 3, and then all 3 of our paramedic ambulances are staffed with 2 paramedics each day. As far as the blue dots, the question comes up because up in what we call our area 3 is there's been a lot of repaving, and if you don't know what those blue dots are, it's so when we're lights and sirens coming down the street, it reflects off that blue dot in the center of the street, which tells us there's either a fire hydrant on the right or left side of the street right there. In today's age, through ArcGIS and all of that stuff, we have maps on all kinds of our MCTs that we're responding with. So, even if those blue dots weren't there right away while they're repaving, we still know where they're at. Of course, we want to make sure that nobody's parking in front of them, so we can have access to it, so we can, get access to water under the house as quickly as possible. But at the end of all paving and road improvements, those blue dots do eventually get replaced. So if you don't see them replaced right away, don't worry, we're still going to find where that hydrant is. And then the last one is the hot topic for everything fire related with the Palisades and Eaton fire. Just a little bit of backstory on that. Well, just pertaining to our city itself. So our city doesn't control any of the water in the city. There's 8 different private water companies that are responsible for all of the water within the city. That's including residential and to all the hydrants. Within that system, there is pumps that help keep the pressure up or boost the pressure. If we're using large volumes of water, we can contact the water company, have them boost the pressure in the pumps, and it allows us to get more water. Also with that, up in the South Hills area, there's a lot of water. You know, we don't have reservoirs, but we have above ground tanks. And talking with all of our water companies, in the event of any red flag day or anticipated weather event that could cause a fire, it's their policy to make sure that all their pumps are running and that those tanks are to full capacity. So I know everybody has questions about the Palisades fire. It was truly one of those perfect storms. Mother Nature did not allow aircraft to be in the air to fight the fire, which is probably our #1 resource for fighting wildland fires. Normally, even if the winds are blowing pretty decent, the helicopters can still get up and provide that water. It was a perfect storm where the aircraft couldn't get up in there. So then you look at the same time, when we respond to a single house fire in the city of West Covina, we're hooking up to one hydrant and flowing hundreds of thousands of gallons of water per minute to put out one house fire. They had 7,000 structures going at the same time. So the combination of the wind, keeping the aircraft out of the air, the power goes out. So when I talk about those pumps, the power goes out, and the water company doesn't have the ability to boost the pressure, to push the water up the hill. The reservoir was empty up at the top of the hill, so it was that perfect storm that I truly believe that if they had all 100 of those fire engines working, Mother Nature was not going to give us the opportunity to make a difference at that point. So kind of a perfect storm, hopefully one in a 100, 200 years, it never happens again. But down the line, once we get closer to summertime again, we're looking to put on a community meeting so the residents can know how they can help on their own, help us defend your home, what we call a defensible space. Did I cover it all?
I think so. Unless anybody has a quick question for the fire chief? Is there?
Yes, so you look at that South Hills area, could we have a natural disaster here in West Covina similar to the other fires that we just recently had?
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely potential up there. It's something we look at all the time. If you remember back, probably 8 or 10 years ago, we had a fire at Galveston Park. Wound up being about 8 acres in total. But those homes that were up there off the top side there were directly at the ground. And as you see with any of these fires, there's no one agency out there that can put out those fires by themselves. That's why we have automatic aid and mutual aid agreements, where if we get impacted, we still have the responsibility of responding to all the other calls in the city along with the structure fire. So with that Galveston fire, we responded a first alarm brush assignment from LA County Fire, who came in and helped us out with their hand crews. They did a couple helicopter drops from their air resources out of Brackett, and then we were able to get that knocked down pretty quick. So there is, yes, there's definitely potential, and that's why we're going to try to put on a public meeting where the residents can learn how they can help build that defensible space, and we can put our resources in a position to help save your home. So it works pre-planning it ahead of time and doing your due diligence on making sure you get away the dead brush and all that stuff away from your house and taking care of that. And that gives us the opportunity to get in there and defend your home.
Right, right. Now, I've got neighbors behind me, neighbors east side, we've got palm trees, fan palms. A lot of those were in the house, fire hazard, big fire. Now, is that with the residents to, trim them trees?
If it's on their property, yes. The residents are responsible for any of it.
Address it?
In certain situations, so forth.
I'm on the fire area right there, not garden. Neighbors behind me, they're counting.
Okay.
Okay, was that it?
So that's, when it's on the border like that, obviously we have to look at it because, we're responsible for LA County. Yeah, so that would be a question, if it's your neighbor that you're inquiring about, that would be through LA County Fire. And they're,
I got someone else to get right next to this.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's, with it being, West Covina being an established community, everybody planted those trees and they were small at the time, and now you have 70, 100-year-old mature trees.
Those fans on there, I know. Yeah, 5 years.
Is the city, planning on like the parks, like the Galveston Park?
Kelster? Uh-huh.
There's a lot of dry brush in the hills, like a lot of dead trees. Is the city doing anything, planning on like going in there and cleaning up there's a lot of, because I go hiking there all the time. So I see that, but I haven't even seen, like last year there was a lot of rain and a lot of the trails got really overgrown. And no one has gone in there to manicure anything.
So within Galluster, the city, I believe the city has some of the land they're responsible for, but some of that is also county land too.
Oh, really?
It's not necessarily always the city's problem. There's county land in there too, and, so it gets mixed, and especially that whole South Hills area, in the middle of one of those little canyons there, it splits off, and on one side is West Covina and one side is Walnut, which is LA County Fire. So, it's not just the city's responsibility, it's the county. And remember, the LA County Fire is taking over their responsibility is part of the unincorporated areas as well, which would be part of CAL FIRE, but because they're right here, they take care of that for the state as well. So there's definitely local areas of responsibility, county areas of responsibility, and state responsibility.
So, Chief, west of the Galluster Park is the sanctuary. It's for the protected birds. I forget the bird's name, but they won't touch the bird. It's a natural, a natural habitat.
Yeah, so there is that area right there, just below the sportsplex there. And like Glenn said, that's an area we can't touch, but there are some areas probably around there that we're going to look at to see if we can, if something happens in the habitat, that it'll stay within that habitat area, and we can hopefully mitigate stuff around that. Yeah.
The city has been having the fireworks display for the 4th of July up at the sportsplex, which is really nice. I can see it from my house. But is that dangerous? Or has that been?
So I'm not going to get into the city events. All I can tell you is for those events, just 4th of July in general, everybody is shooting off fireworks everywhere. Most of the cities around us don't have the ordinances that our city council has put forward to try to keep our city safer than others, but that doesn't stop. A family in West Covina has friends from another city where they're used to being able to shoot those off. There's nothing we can do. But for those events, we do staff an additional engine that day. Specifically, we put it up at the Sportsplex, and any of those fireworks displays have to go through a fire prevention process where, you know, they're licensed people that do it, they know what the codes are. We put them through an inspection program prior to, so hopefully that answers your question.
So it should be safe.
What's that?
It should be safe.
Yes.
We shouldn't.
And I'll tell you, the city and the fire department do everything that we can to make it safe. They abide by all the rules and regulations that they have to and able to put on that, that display. And it's just not a city rule, it's a state of California rule, and there's certain things that they have to abide by in order to do those displays. And we make sure that they are in accordance with us. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem. And I'll be happy to get you some answers. Either put a phone number, an email, and I can shoot you a text, or probably the easiest way to shoot you back an email, and we'll get those questions answered for you. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Everybody knows that the city of West Covina with your police department is set up into 4 areas. Like your voting districts, your districts, you have 5 districts. Area officers, our officers are set up in areas of 4. And so I'm gonna pass this, I only have a few of these, but I'm gonna pass them out, you guys can show them around. It needs to tell you who your area officer is and where your area is. And I'm gonna introduce right now, Lieutenant Armis. Oh yeah, you can take a picture of it, that would be good. And then that way you'll know who your area officer is.
Good evening, can everybody hear me? Yeah. I think the mic is more handled than it was for the chief. Like the chief said, my name is Danny Armis. I've been with the police department for over 23 years. I've basically grown up here. I started as a community services officer, which is a civilian-based position. So this is really, even though I don't live in the city, this is somewhat my home. I am the Service Area 3 Lieutenant. We do have 4 service areas, and if you look at the screen here, we have Service Area 1, which basically covers north of the 10 freeway and west of Azusa Avenue. Service Area 2 covers the east side of Azusa all the way down to the South Coast area. And then Service Area 3, which would be mine, is west of Azusa Avenue, south of the 10th Freeway, and I go all the way down to Francis Street. And then below that, you have Service Area 4, which is everything south of that. So just so you guys get an idea, if you go on our website and click on services, you guys can see services area, and you can see what lieutenant is in charge of what. Service Area 1 is going to be Lieutenant Mike Weatherman. Service Area 2 is going to be Lieutenant Tim Rogers. Service Area 3, Service Area 4 is Lieutenant Matt Nelson. And as you can see here, we have a couple different ways. If you click on the hyperlink or the email service area, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, it'll give you an email straight to that service area lieutenant. Also, if you, that phone number there, if you go ahead and call that, it'll prompt you on how to get a hold of all of us. It's very user-friendly. Those are different ways to get a hold of us. At any point at the conclusion of what I talk, you guys have any questions specifically for me, come up, talk to me. Very friendly, I promise, and I'm here to help you guys out.
I have a question. Regarding the fireworks, you know, they have gotten a lot out of control.
Sure, if I can, let me get into this, and then, so these questions that you guys, I've been asking questions, so I will,
Sorry, guys.
that's okay, I appreciate it, just for the sake of staying on task, but I appreciate your eagerness. So, if we could go to the PowerPoint, sir. Okay, so I'm going to go over our HOPE team, which essentially stands for Homeless Outreach and Park Enforcement. So when you hear HOPE, it's an acronym, that's what it stands for. Like Chief Cortina discussed a little bit, our first goal is outreach, right? It is a long-term solution. It's not just enforcement. We want to outreach to these people, we want to provide them services, we want to help them, we want to help pick them off the street, because ultimately it's a quality of life issue for them and for the citizens of West Virginia. So a lot of times we get, residents that call them frustrated, but our goal isn't just to go there and, somewhat enforce the law. Yes, we can, and if we have to do that, those are things that we will do. But our goal really is to outreach to them, to see if we can provide services and not only get them off the street at that point, but long term. Get them housed, get them back on their feet, and get them the assistance they need. So this is the mission of our HOPE team. I'll read this verbatim. The mission of the HOPE team is to provide an enhanced level of safety for our community and businesses by addressing criminal activity in our city, parks, and surrounding neighborhoods, and addressing homelessness issues citywide. So our HOPE team is comprised of one sergeant as a supervisor, 2 officers, and there are 2-man teams. So you're going to see them around. You'll see them in black PDUs, exterior carrier, and then they wear black patches versus the silver ones that you see myself and Chief Cortina wearing. They work Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Also, in conjunction with that, there's 2 civilian homeless outreach coordinators from Lakata, and they work Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about homelessness on private property. Private property and public property, they're different. We handle them differently, but just because it's private property doesn't mean that you guys can't help us solve the problem. So one thing that you're going to see, not only in this bullet point, but also in the public property bullet point, is very similar. Like I said, it's the outreach, it's to get these individuals to rehab centers, shelter, provide different services for them. That's our ultimate goal. That's going to be on both public and private. However, there's some differences. On private property, if they refuse to leave, our hands could be somewhat tied, and we're going to get into a little bit how we can remove them. But just know there is some subtle differences. Okay, so we get there, let's just say it's a call for service, whether it's from the owner of the business themselves or you guys going and you guys are the patrons of this business and you're going to dinner and you see somebody that looks unhoused, homeless, transient, there's a lot of different words for them. You know the people that we're talking about and you're uncomfortable, maybe they want to keep the money, maybe you felt threatened. So what we typically do is we go to that business, we reach out to them, we advise them that we, as a city, have something that's a trespass letter, and they have to fill that letter out and complete it. We put it on file, and then we now know that they don't want these type of individuals loitering around their businesses, and then that gives us the authority to enforce the trespassing law, and we can obviously effect an arrest if, again, the outreach doesn't work with these individuals. Let's just say they don't have this trespass letter on file with us. We have a citizen's arrest form that we can utilize at that moment, and that can take place of the trespass letter. So there are things we can do. The trespass letter for these businesses is good for 1 year, and it's on file with the police department. And not only that, we proactively, in conjunction with code and also our patrol officers, and even myself, I don't have a black and white police car assigned to me, so it's a little easier for me to drive around during the day, and just get an idea of what's going on with these businesses, the streets, and things like that. And when I get these phone calls, whether they're thanking us for our service or maybe they're concerned with something like this, I'll get in the car and I'll go take a look for myself. And I'll reach back out to that citizen, we'll have a conversation. But if they're right, what we usually do is try to contact the business and let them know usually things we can do, whether it be the trespass letter, that these individuals are unhealthy, that these individuals maybe are deterring some of their business. And they're usually responsive because any good business owner, they don't want to deter business. So we are trying to take a proactive approach. So you've heard the name LACADA quite a bit. It stands for Los Angeles Centers for Alcohol and Drug Abuse. So it's kind of long-winded, so when you hear LACADA, it's Los Angeles Centers for Alcohol and Drug Abuse, or if you're my daughter, it's La Cagada. Either way, because you know. So some other resources we have that we utilize, Department of Mental Health, we use them weekly. They usually go with one of our officers, and that's more of a psychological evaluation, which the argument could be that a lot of these individuals have it, and that answer is probably somewhat accurate. But that resource is available for us. We use it once a week. Again, they're paired up, I believe, on Wednesdays, and they go with one of our patrol officers. We also have LACADA, that we just went into. We also have the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority. They come out somewhat on their own. They do let our local officers as well as LACADA know when they're going to be there. Then we also have code enforcement and public works. Code enforcement helps out tremendously, reaching out to businesses, helping us let them know that, again, we have these resources available. These are things we can do. Public works, they get the short end of the stick. They're the ones kind of cleaning things up. And just so you guys are aware, with LACADA, and I didn't know this until I spoke to one of the members, and he doesn't mind me saying anything. His name's Johnny. He's a reformed gang member, and he was homeless. And he gets out there on the street, and he talks to these individuals, and if anybody's going to break through to them, it's going to be somebody like Johnny. So LACADA does a really good job. They take their success people, and they shuffle them back in. They give them jobs. They give them the resources they need to survive, and then they come out here and they help. So it's really nice to see how they work, because as we all know, it's always easier to hear information and take advice from somebody who's walking, in the shoes that they've been walking in. With LACADA, it's a two-step process. Usually when they go to help somebody, and this person is willing to do it, they're telling them, okay, we're gonna now take you off the street, we're gonna provide housing. With that, there's a detox portion to that. Whatever it is, typically a lot of these individuals, they are on drugs, some type of narcotic, and they need a detox period. So they go, that's step one. Step two, whenever that's done, detox can take anywhere from a couple of days to a couple months, just depends on where they're at and relapses. Step two is now they're on the recovery road, again housing, and now they're sobering, and now they're getting well on their feet. The entire process is anywhere from 12 months to 18 months. So during that time, obviously it is volunteer based, and some of these individuals can say that's enough and they walk away. But we've been fortunate in our city where LACADA has a group of approximately 200 individuals, and we can get into why do we still have some, but they do have a success rate, so they are up there helping. Okay, public property. So we covered private property, public property. So now we're talking parks, sidewalks, things like that. First bullet point we already went over. We're going to offer them services no different than we would on private property, whether it's our HOPE team or patrol officers, LACADA, same thing. The difference now is if they don't want to leave, we basically now enforce laws if they don't want to leave. And we'll get into some municipal codes that we have. Then their property, right? The big thing for you guys is always their property. Their encampments is what I think a lot of people want to call them what they are. We tag their property 48 hours. So they have 48 hours, so we have to leave it. And then after 48 hours, Public Works comes in and they clean it up. There's nothing we can do prior to that. There's been other decisions locally in Pomona dealt with it. But around the nation, we're basically saying that we can't just remove their belongings unless it's obviously like a soiled clothing, something where it's maybe urinated sheets, things like that. Yes, we can remove that because it's unsanitary, it's not safe for everybody else. But like tents, sleeping bags, things like that, and again, unless we can prove otherwise, we have to leave it impacted. So
Stuff like that.
we'll take those. Okay, so public property, here's some new municipal codes. Obviously, I'll just say them, you don't need to know the section by any means. And these are on our city website as well. But unlawful camping and storage of personal property, unlawful acts at public property, smoking is prohibited. Hours in usage, unlawful to remain, and then consuming consuming alcohol beverages or possessing open alcohol beverage containers. So those are common ones that we utilize. Again, if the outreach doesn't work, we have to. Did you want to take a photo of that? Okay. So moving on. So now I already kind of went over. These are some items that we can dispose of. Wet, soiled, moldy, filthy, perishable, open consumables, recyclable waste, anything that has foul odor, bedding material infested with insects, things like that, hypodermic needles, obviously drugs, things like that. We should be removing anyways. If they have those type of things on them, chances are there's going to be some type of enforcement action. But again, if we do move anything outside of, we don't dispose it, we take their tent, we take their sleeping bag, we take their bag, we have to hold it for 90 days. So there's a lot of responsibility and onus that the police department has as we do these things. These are some statistics from 2024 for our Hope team. Number of contacts, 1,663. Encampments removed, 187. Number of arrests, 133. Number of citations, 35. Number of subjects housed by the CADA, 123. The West Virginia Police Department responded to a total of 2,907 homeless-related calls for service last year. The Hope themselves responded to 1,442 related of those calls. So as you can tell, we're busy. We're dealing with it. So a lot of these are repeat calls. At the conclusion of this, I can kind of go over some things that caused this for us and kind of what we're seeing, somewhat of the pendulum swinging back. These are some things that we're concerned with that may cause, or we believe is going to cause more issues for us. And we're actively going to be combating it now. But the 2026 FIFA World Cup, the 2028 Olympics, both in LA, rising cost of homes, obviously the economic downturn, lack of affordability, kind of the same, the fires in the Palisades, and then just the pandemic with both drugs and mental. I don't know if you guys are aware, but when we had the Super Bowl in LA a couple years ago, one of my buddies went and he works in that area and he would always hate driving through it. Well, the week of the Super Bowl, as we all know, it was clean, pristine, they did everything. Well, the people had to go somewhere, and there's I heard a lot of different things. They put them in hotels, they just gave them bus tickets, I don't know. But some of these events, they're going to be long-winded. So we're not dealing with a one-day thing being the Super Bowl. We're dealing with weeks, months of preparation. So we're trying to figure it all out. This is not to alarm anybody. This is just the reality of what we're going to be dealing with. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But those are optimistic thoughts. So this is from Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority website. Just some more data. Obviously, sheltered means that they wouldn't receive shelter from probably LACADA, and then unsheltered. So these are just some stats. Talking to our homeless guys, Officer Mello and Officer Martinez, I said, hey, how many actual homeless would you say does West Covina have where I can go up to these individuals and I say, where is your home? And they say West Covina. How many do you think we have? And this is, I don't know which way you guys may take this, but they said about 40. So I said, okay, well, the argument is well, if it is only 40, how come they're everywhere, right? 40 is what they're saying is ours. Where they're saying West Covina is their home. We have no control over the people that are passing through, coming here on a bus, getting pushed out of another city, getting arrested by us, and then they get released, getting arrested getting released from the courthouse. That's another thing that we have to deal with. When people get released and they don't live here, but they get released out that back door at court, well, they're in the great city of West Covina. So there's a lot of things that are just out of our control, but they are confident that about 40 or West Covina, so-called unhoused individuals. The rest, who knows? So again, that's just an approximate number. Okay, things that that Chief Cortina is wanting to do to improve quality of life for everybody is adding officers not only to Hope, but also to traffic. So again, you see here, he would like to add, we already have 2, so anywhere from 2 to 4 more, either take us up to 4 to 6 total. Even adding an additional vehicle, being a truck, just to kind of help gather their belongings, because, sometimes it gets a little messy for us and they have a lot of stuff. And then obviously implementing the 7-day coverage plan. Going back to the first slide, they're only here working Monday through Thursday, 6 in the morning till 4 p.m. So he wants more 24/7 coverage. So that concludes the information I have as far as Hope goes. But one thing that I want to share with you, everybody here, is who here has heard of Proposition 36? Okay, Proposition 36 is something that passed. Okay, what that proposition is it basically diverted a lot of the previous decisions that were made or voted on, where diversion was more the thing that they wanted to do, whether it was drug diversion or just overall a different mindset. So what Proposition 36 is, it's a multi-offender against theft and against drug use. So if you have 2 or more convictions for possession of methamphetamine, cocaine, it's now back to a felony. We hold these individuals, whereas before, no matter what, we were sending individuals out and we were not being held. So again, it's 2 or more convictions. Now it's a felony. We hold them. They now go to county. They're in the system. I don't know what the courts are doing with them. I don't know if they're just giving them a slap on the hand, probation. We do have a new district attorney for the county of Los Angeles. I would say that's a little early to see exactly where it's going, but we're very optimistic that that's going to help. Same with the theft. Again, very similar to where it's a slap on the hand. There was everything was very lenient, and now it's back to if you have 2 or more theft convictions, we're holding you, you're going to county, you're going to court, and again, the idea is that kind of going back to the way it was before is you're now staying in county, potentially going to prison versus any diversion program. So not only should that help just on a lot of topical levels, I think it's going to make an impact for this, because unfortunately a lot of these individuals, they don't want help. It would be nice if everybody wanted help, and we think it's as simple as, do you want a warm meal? Do you want a warm place to sleep? Everybody would think that would make sense. It's very baffling when these individuals look at you and they just tell you no. So, but the problem is that you guys are all now the victims of that. You're dealing with it, and we're dealing with it, and we want to make sure that we get your quality of life back to where it was before. There were some questions here. I'm going to lump a lot of these up because it looks like traffic and the unhoused or homeless is a big issue. So traffic, first and foremost, everybody that you see either on a motorcycle, in a black and white police car, really in any police car for that matter, we are all traffic enforcement officers. So that's what we do, no matter what. So it's not just somebody on a motorcycle. The theory behind anybody on a motorcycle is that that's all they do. And that's partially true. They are part of the traffic bureau, so they investigate obviously traffic collisions, major traffic collisions. They go out there and they do traffic enforcement for the schools. So it's partially true, but just so everybody here knows, anybody in a black and white police car, on a motorcycle, or really in any police vehicle for that matter, we can all enforce traffic laws. So I don't know if that answers the question for that. If you think that we need more, then we'll take it. But as far as the other thing was transient, I think I answered a lot of those. If not, and you can ask me on the side. Graffiti came up. I don't know just kind of is on there, just says graffiti. I don't know if that's how to report it. If you go on our city website for public areas, you can actually report it on the City of West Covina website, and you can record it, take a picture of it, upload it, and then we'll go out and clean it up. Private property is a little bit different. I think that was, do you have some more?
Because this one.
Yes, sir. One minute.
And then I have.
So this one is asking about the protest from, I'm guessing, I'm imagining, I don't know if this is just a general one. Who asked the protest question?
Is that a real protest?
It just says illegal alien protest, that's what they wrote verbatim. Are you being in general or to a specific event?
My concern is the people waving the Mexican flags, standing on the corner, putting up flags on the Amar overpass on the I-10. They were over in Roland Heights today on the overpass. They were at the courthouse, the City Hall property in protest. And they also damaged my wife's car and threw rocks at cars and hit me with rocks and stole electrical items out of my car. So I don't know how much worse this is gonna get, if there's anything we can do about this.
So on this one, you have a couple questions. I'm gonna defer to Lieutenant Keith Freeman. He was there, you're talking about the event a couple days ago?
I don't know when it was at the City
Keith, you wanna
Hall,
come up?
but there's videos of that one,
Here you go, Keith.
2 weeks ago? 2 days ago? Okay.
All right, does this work?
Yeah.
So, a couple high schools got together, students got together. There's roughly 100 students that marched from West Covina High School to City Hall. They stayed on the sidewalk. They were very peaceful. We had 0 reports of any crimes occurring. They marched to City Hall, and they had about roughly a 90-minute ordeal where they got to speak and exercise their First Amendment. It was, it went very well.
There's a video on Facebook right now.
Yeah.
There's a kid.
That's showing the opposite of what you're
The beanie of this kid, that's assault and battery right there.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
kid is forced to go back in his car with his American flag because the other
This was
kid.
in our city.
This is
On your property.
Where the City Hall is, the diapering.
I am 100%
That's
aware
assault
of
and
that.
battery. They run him out of that area because he dared to have an American flag, which is so just unbelievable. That they get to fly. I'm Hispanic, but you know you gotta respect the land you live in. You know, so there is evidence.
Okay.
It's on Facebook.
That is definitely something we will look into.
It's Yeah, everybody's seen it.
He said this is- If somebody
This
could
activities.
put the video up to residents or send it to
There's
one of us.
It is a resident.
There's a couple
So-
things, there's a couple things I'd like to address. All right, number one is for us to do a report, we have to have a victim. We need the victim to come forward. We can't just watch a video and then go out and investigate. It's a misdemeanor battery.
But there's no police around this demonstration. There's no police to be
So there-
monitoring.
There was police presence there, all right? We're not necessarily in black and white and driving around, so our presence is known. A lot of times,
Nothing was done about it. He was surrounded by people,
Yeah.
15 to 20
High
Again,
schoolers.
being
it's
attacked.
something I have to look
Nothing
into.
was there. It's obviously able to be seen from 15 to 20 yards away.
Yeah.
And so if you guys were there, how come no one was able to see it or stop it? it's all over, the video is
Yeah,
there. This kid's carrying an American flag and.
They're gonna start
all these kids
destroying
carrying-
properties soon because the situation's getting more heated. And there's no boundaries because the schools are not even, the teachers, they're not even doing their job to say, you know what, you gotta stay in school. The government, that we're getting federal, help, whatever money for you to be in the classroom, your place is in the classroom, not out there, you're not, you know what I
I
mean?
can't speak on the schools.
No, but it's just the whole system is
Yeah.
screwed up.
Well,
So
that's a fact.
Yeah.
if we screwed up, I'll be the first one to admit.
I don't blame the police
So-
department at all. I really don't, because I know you guys have your hands tied behind your back because the city council. I went to the city hall on a Friday twice, and they're not even, they don't even work on Fridays. And I went to report on the homeless people there by the Pizza Hut. And then there's a homeless person camping in the actual city hall building. And I know you guys you do what you can, but I know the city council dictates. This is really, that's what they're letting us down.
Well, okay, it sounds like we have a few issues that, you know, we need to
Address.
look at and then address, and it's gonna, to shotgun, I get the frustration, I get it, that's the reason why we're here. As far as the student and that happening, it's unacceptable. It can't fall on the police department, it can't fall on a lot of different levels, but my suggestion, if that student, if anybody knows who that student is, maybe.
Yeah, that was it right there.
Maybe it's the time for his parents to come into the
Yeah.
police department and be the advocate voice for their child. And then let the
That's
system
just
go
right
from there.
Right. That's something matter right there.
Well, it's unacceptable no matter how you look at it, but it's also the responsibility of that parent to come
Yeah.
forward
Gotta
and
press
say,
charges.
press
Yeah,
charges.
of
And
course.
so we have to do that because we have that. Nobody wants to see our kids do that. Nobody wants to see that in our city. Nobody. I mean, because this rolls into something else, and that's unacceptable and for all of us. So I,
Look,
Yeah,
look,
there
there you go.
That's minor.
It's just by touching someone,
And they hit me with rocks the other day, so they damaged my wife's car, hit me with rocks, stole
Where was
items
that
out of
at?
the car.
We have another situation here with
What was that at?
That was actually La Puente, Hacienda, and Amar. And I know that's not West Covina, but my concern is that it's gonna come right down to our doorstep. It's happening over in Roland Heights today off of Nogales. So,
well, it's
I
gonna
don't know
take
at what
all,
point,
it's
when
gonna
they come
take
to
all
my
of us.
door.
That's the reason why we're here. That's the reason why we have this forum. Because the more we speak, the more we talk, the more we know that we're engaging and that we have the ability to have our voices be heard, whether it be here or whether it be on Residents, or whether you pick up the phone and call the PD and say, hey, you know what, you guys? You know, Chief Cortina, I need to sit down with you. I need to know that we're gonna be safe. And if this is something that we need to do in West Covina with all these protests coming up, I mean, my God, we don't wanna end up being like Seattle. I mean, and it starts small and it grows fast.
So if I do come into the middle of one of these protests, and I'm with my daughter in the back seat, and they surround my vehicle, and I decide to floor it, because they're trying to break out my window or try to hurt me, am I gonna be responsible? Because I'm looking out for the safety of my daughter.
Right, thank you.
And, you know, I do have an open carry permit. I do carry with me, I don't have it on me right now. But if something was to happen and I am in my vehicle and I'm surrounded and I run.
What I can say is this, I can't give you a definitive answer. The situation is going to depend. Yes, you have a right to defend yourself. Absolutely, it is your right. And there are self-defense cases all the time. It'll be something that will be investigated, and a determination will eventually be made by a DA.
So I will be detained and arrested until.
It is definitely a possibility, yes. But whether charges get filed, that's something different. We don't decide that. We are fact gatherers.
I understand that.
Yeah. I'm not sure everybody does, but that's what we do. We gather facts, and then we present it to the DA's office. The DA decides whether you were justified or not. But yes, anybody who potentially defends themselves and hurts others, especially when you're in a great bodily injury, yes, you might be arrested. That doesn't result in always being charged with the crime. The DA can say, no, if it was self-defense, you're good, and the charges are dropped. But I can't give you a definitive, and then, I mean, you know the liability that would cause on our end because I'm up here as a West Virginia police officer. So, what I can say is with protests, we do have an FBI liaison. We do get information based on social media posts, things like that. We also work with the sheriff's department. They have an intel gathering. Typically, we are tipped off when something's going on, and we do plan. So we were prepared for that protest. We knew what was going on. We did have a whole operations plan that was written 2 days in advance, and we did have officers out there. How they missed that, I don't know. Unfortunately, as the SWAT commander, I'm not on scene. But I can promise each and every one of you that we will look into that, and if we failed at some point, then we'll be the first ones to own it. We're not going to try and make excuses. Sometimes we screw up. We're human, we're not perfect, but I can promise you this, that we are a very transparent department, and if we do make mistakes, we will learn, and we will do better. We'll do better for you guys. That I can promise, but I can tell you that a lot of energy and effort were dedicated into this. And just to give you an idea, I was in Newport Beach all week for my daughter's 16th birthday, and I started handling this on Sunday. Like, it all gets put into motion, and we work effortlessly to protect you guys, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys understand the amount of dedication that goes into this job.
I have a lot of respect for the police.
We have one more, we have one more question for the lieutenant.
We're gonna, let me finish this one question, and I know we're at the hammers, but this is from the cards. Somebody's asking about illegal parking of motorhomes for transients and living under the Barranca Bridge. So if somebody's parking or living out of an RV or any vehicle for that matter, okay, there's two different ways to look at it. If they are on private property, the responsibility is whoever is the owner of that private property, whoever is the business running that private property. What we can do is go there, see if the vehicle is up to date on registration, but essentially that is a private property problem. You can't just take somebody's car. If it is on a public street, we have a municipal code that you cannot park in the same spot, the exact spot, so they can't, so if they go there, they park, or it doesn't work, it's broke down, we can tow it after 72 hours. So we go, we mark it, we tag it, and then obviously before we tow, we have to inventory it, so we're gonna be in the motorhome, and then we work our way around it that way. That's for the motorhome or any vehicle that they're living out of. So private property is up to the owner of that property. We can still go there and, look into the car, make sure it's up to speed with registration, try to contact the individuals. On the street, we can mark and tag it, come back after 3 days, and then, see what's going on with the individual. The Barranca Bridge, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. What they're referring to is that over there by In-N-Out off Barranca in South Garvey, that little overpass right there for the wash. There's actually a bridge that was built a long time ago that was covered up by the bridge that's existing there now. Now, the problem is they didn't demolish the previous bridge, so essentially you now have a lower platform bridge that's being sheltered by the existing one that you know today. There's been a lot of different measures they've done. They went and they put up wrought iron gates. They put up all types of fencing. Unfortunately, they're persistent and they get in there. It is very dangerous. The way they have to get in there is basically to drop off of that overpass onto a chain link fence, scale over that chain link fence, and then basically wiggle their way into this space. I can tell you right now, I am not going to have our officers doing that. That is extremely dangerous. That is a 30-foot drop. That is too dangerous for us. We're trying to figure out a way to do it. I know that Chief Cortina is in the works with the county to get that bridge demolished, but in the short term, that's very dangerous. It's very difficult. My understanding, though, is that right now there's really no local homeless, unhoused transients there. It's dangerous to them as well.
Lieutenant, I want to say one thing. The Brankin Bridge is owned by the county, it's not owned by the city of West Covina. The bridge that goes over by City Hall on Sunset is also owned by the county. So it is a county issue and needs to be directed at the county.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. It is a county problem. It's just pretty, our side of it is very risky for us just to go in there. So I know you had a question before you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for, I believe you're in charge of where I live, spot 3?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have 3 quick questions. The first one is, who initiates the trespass letter? Can the police do it on their own? Or does it require for the property owner of a private entity to initiate it?
No, we can go there, actually, we're proactive. So let's just say somebody's renting a storefront from the owner of that building, right? So now you're thinking of 2 different problems. So we have, wherever the owner is, the city obviously knows who they are already. So our code enforcement will assist us getting information to us, and we will contact the building owner for that trespass letter. Let's just say they say, I don't want anything done. Fine. Then we go to the business owner and we tell them, hey, you're losing business. I mean, reality is reality, right? Nobody wants to come to your place of business with this around, whether it's 1 or 10. Usually we get cooperation from them, and then they would just sign citizens arrest form on a regular basis, and a lot of them, they will do that to circumvent the issue with the business owner. But you had a couple questions. So yes, we can proactively go and seek out the business owner. Yes, we can. We can seek out the whoever storefront, whether they own it or renting it. We can talk to them. So we can get out in front of any problem. And then there's ways around if the business owner doesn't want to help, or the building owner doesn't want to help us, but the business owner, usually they do. My understanding is that it's like almost zero the business owner doesn't want help, because at some point, even if early on they say, no, thank you, now everybody's at a point of, okay, we need to eradicate them and get them out.
I think you answered the question, but so a citizen's arrest may be a little different than a trespass letter issuance.
So the difference is that if we have a letter on file, we can enforce anytime, 24/7.
Correct.
The owner doesn't even need to be there. We get a call for service there, it's on file, we already know we're good to go. The only thing we have to do is notify that individual one time that, hey, you are now being served, that you cannot be here, you need to vacate, and you can't come back. After that, 1 year, basically, we can, every day if they go back, we can arrest them every day.
So it's either a trespass letter or a citizen's arrest, 2 different actions.
Correct.
Okay. My second question is, what is the seamless process for inter-county homeless in regards to the HOPE team? And the reason I ask that is because that was an identified problem for the HOPE team, I believe by your predecessor at one of the council meetings, where neither Lakata or its predecessor, nor the HOPE team was able to ensure supportive services for the homeless here in LA, but who actually reside in other counties. So is there a process in place for those sort of situations?
Give you an example.
Someone lives in San Bernardino, he's now residing here because this is where he gets his drugs, or this is where his homies are at. You approach him and he says, sure, I'll take the assistance, but I live in San Bernardino. What assistance can you here in LA County as a whole team, Lakata, or Los Angeles County DPSS assist with?
Yeah, so with that, everything will be here in LA County. Nothing that Lakata does, they're Los Angeles based, you're not going to send out. Now, with that, let's just say they go through the initial housing and the rehab, right? The detoxing. And then in the long term, they have to basically get to about, I don't know, but let's just say after 12 months, it's shown that, okay, their detox, they're well on their way, they're rehabbing. They do have ways to send them back, but what they're not going to do is give somebody a bus ticket and say, go back to San Bernardino, you're not our problem, because that's not the way they're designed. They're really designed to help. So they think it looks bad if they just hand somebody a bus ticket and say, go back to San Bernardino, because even though they're helping the individual, that's not what they're designed to do. They're designed to truly rehabilitate. Once that individual is recovered and is proven to be recovered, then they will help them.
But the problem was that their Medi-Cal doesn't cover services here in LA County because their PPO is subscribed in San Bernardino or the county of residence. So according to the Hope Team officer that did the presentation, they're unable to actually connect them to any of these supportive services here in LA County. I'm kind of hearing you say that now that is available to them?
You're talking about their benefits in another county?
Well, they're from San Bernardino, they have Medi-Cal, but Medi-Cal is established in in San Bernardino County, whatever other county. Their PPO or HMO is there.
Yeah, right.
So the Medi-Cal won't cover here.
Well,
Any services, how do you here in LA County provide someone from another county's services?
well, so there's obviously quite a bit of clinics that provide free services.
Okay.
No matter where you live, no matter what county. We have one off of Glendora right north of the Wash. So the medical side is always going to be figured out because no hospital or medical clinic can turn anybody away.
Right.
Something like that's long-term. What I've learned with these individuals, if they can get here from San Bernardino, chances are they can get from here back. A lot of these individuals don't want to go. They use it as an excuse, not all of them, but most of them do. And then that's why the COTA truly is just, our goal is to rehab. Once they've proven the rehab, then we will help them in the long term.
And I'm sorry if I use medical and I may have misled you, but it's not so much a medical, but the Medi-Cal to cover the services such as rehab here in LA County. In other words, that was the problem where they could not be admitted to an LA County rehab or even shelter because their coverage was San Bernardino issued.
So you're talking about that the COTA, they won't provide resources because they're not an LA County resident, is that what you're under?
I'm not so sure it's Lakata, but the officer that gave the presentation, his name is
Yeah, that's-
he
yeah.
said they were unable to
No, they
as
can.
a result.
They can.
They can now?
They can.
And my last question is, what is the placement rate for Lakata and what is the recidivism rate?
Well, let me have that here.
We can go ahead, that's gonna be a pretty lengthy question.
Okay, I can talk to you.
We can go ahead, we'll have that get back to you.
We still have a bunch of questions.
Yeah, and we don't
On
wanna-
cards that we need to answer.
And we need to keep them kind of, if we could
We-
keep
we
like the
gotta keep
questions
them down.
kind
We
of
don't wanna
down
get into
a
midnight.
little bit, we'd appreciate it. JD, we'll get back to you on that, if that's okay with you.
That's
And then
fine.
you want to take these last two and then we can.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the vehicles are motorhome parked in the exact spot. How far do they have to move? If he rolls his wheels a foot, he technically not in the exact spot, so then what?
So-
I mean, is there a block, 2 blocks, or what?
So that is a problem, where if they move just like that. All I can tell you is that between our code enforcement and our community service officers, me being one, we get pretty, when you're 18 years old and you're out there and you think it's a police car, you take it pretty seriously. You come up with some pretty creative ways to make sure that they don't know you're marking them. So as much as I would want to tell you how we do it, but we don't. So but to answer your question, technically, you're right. If they move from that spot 1 foot or 6 inches, then they've technically moved.
So it's another 3 days.
It could be another 3 days. But again, we're pretty savvy with it, especially if we know that it's a problem. I'm not.
But they're pretty savvy too.
They are. That's why they're trying to solve the problem from afar.
I believe our city attorney is working on a specific ordinance that Santa Monica had a lot of success with. We're looking to mimic that one. Where it's at right now, I don't know. But it's a city ordinance that was supposed to deal specifically with RVs. And then there's also parking violation when they park RV so close to an intersection. I don't remember off the top of my head what the code is, but I know we've used it in the past to help resolve some of the issues.
And just expanding on that, how about expired registration?
What do you mean, how about?
If their registration is expired, is that
So
automatic?
it has to be over 6 months, expired, over 6 months.
So you have to wait 6 months.
Your registration has to be expired 6 months or more. It's not just 1 day or 2 days. You can't have a RIP, which is registration in progress, like maybe they failed small or something like that. So all those things do come into play with registration. So usually that gets a little tricky, but if it's, trust me, if they can take the car for expired registration, they're taking the vehicle.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again for sharing the information on the Hope Team. My concern is not only with the Hope Team, but with the traffic unit. Can you please tell us how many traffic unit officers do we have that are on motorcycles? I know you said that every unit that's on patrol is considered a traffic unit, but as you know, since we're understaffed in the city, at the department, those officers in the cars are basically going from call to call. So the enforcement piece is missing. Over the last 2 years, we've had 5+ fatalities happen in our city. We don't really see much enforcement, at least I don't personally. Can you share with us how many motorcycle units that we have compared to maybe other cities that are in the San Diego Valley that are equivalent to West Covina? What hours do they work? I come from a corporate business world, and we have to schedule to the needs of the business, right? And I get crime happens 24/7, accidents can happen 24/7. My concern, and it was good to see, but my concern is with scheduling with the city. It's good to see that we're looking at trying to add more Hope officers, but what's the time frame for that? Again, I thought all of today's about solutions, right? Coming up with solutions. So what's the time frame to get those officers hired in place, or current officers that are going to move into the Hope Team? The same question would be for the traffic unit. If we're going to have officers go to the traffic unit, can we look at doing like some type of like flex scheduling? Because the Hope Team's working Monday through Thursday from 6 a.m. to 4 o'clock. What about Friday, Saturday, Sunday? What about those other incidents that are occurring after that time frame? So my same question would be with the traffic unit as well. How many, when are they scheduled? How many people? And again, can the chief or anybody look at any type of flex scheduling where there's a rotation where, guys, this month we're going to focus on these hours. Next month we're going to focus on these hours or these days. So that there's some type of, again, to the needs of the business.
Yeah, so, kind of multifaceted question there.
Yeah, sorry.
Try and hit each point the best I can. So, the goal for the whole team to increase it is going to be based on staffing. So our goal right now is to get to roughly 102 officers in the next year, right? Because remember, a new officer straight off the street, not a lateral, nothing, that takes about 18 months to get them operational out on their own. So it's a long and daunting process. That's if they make it through the whole thing, academy and then field training and then clear their probation to get them out on the street. If we get a lateral, it could be roughly 3 to 4 months. So it's a lot quicker. So it just depends on what we're getting. Right now, for recruiting, we're full tilt into it right now. We're recruiting anywhere from college career days, high school career days. We're bolstering our cadet program, which gets younger 18-year-olds that have to be enrolled in college. What that helps us do is kind of get them introduced to our department, get them introduced to our culture, and it gives us a time to look at them, decide who's a qualified candidate, who we want, and they're already loyal to our department, so that helps us move them into officers. Same with our Explorer program. We're going to fitness competitions, to sporting events, and we're really, our Chief Cortina right now is really putting the pressure on. I run our training unit and our recruitment unit, so we're really pushing hard on that right now to get those numbers and meet those numbers as quick as we can. But everything is based on, we got people retiring, and then we got people that get injured. All of those things are are kind of a revolving door. So our goal is to get to at least 100 before we start. We're at a point to where we can start adding people to Hope Team and to the traffic unit. Right now we have 3 officers that ride motorcycles, and then we have a sergeant on it. So it's a dual function, like the Chief Cortina talked about and Danny talked about, is their sole focus is not writing tickets. They also have to do accident investigations, hit and runs. They're out doing follow-up, filing cases at the court. They gotta go to court, things like that. So at any given time, we do an evidence-based deployment, and that's just when calls are heavy the most, based on our CAD system, when they're the most, when the highest frequency, so we try and deploy them at the correct time to use our assets as wisely as we can. Our Hope Team does come in on weekends, and they will do on overtime basis, and they'll do park enforcement, all sorts of things to try and contact those individuals that they might not necessarily see during the week. They also have liaisons on our patrol crew that are active and know what our Hope Team's doing to kind of help bridge that gap on weekends. However, you know, with the patrol going to calls, like you mentioned, it's difficult. But we try to get them out on weekends. We can't do it all the time, but we do take that into consideration right now. When we bolster it, then yes, we will definitely be looking at a 7-day-a-week coverage. We know the importance, we know how that our community desires that, and we want to fulfill those needs and accomplish that goal. A time frame, I can't necessarily give you right now. We're just in the beginning phases of our new hiring. I would say rush right now to get this accomplished. So right now we have about 8 new officers in backgrounds and 3 laterals in backgrounds right now. So hopefully we'll be able to push them through. Trying to think what some of your other questions.
But is there flexibility now with what we have? I understand, like, we're understaffed and it's gonna take time, but how do we strategically better use what we have now to help with the solution? Because accidents happen, or more traffic happens more in the evening time at night. You look at all the national studies, you know what I mean? So the traffic unit, they're working just day side right now? Like,
Yes.
like the Hope Team?
They
like
come in
Monday
on
through
an
Thursday?
ODS branch for weekends and to do DUI saturation and things like that at
Right.
night.
But I guess the question I have, and I understand what you're saying, and we'll move on from time, but is there at least the possibility where the chief and the leadership team could look at, obviously, making those changes now to
Absolutely.
provide the best service to our city now, based on the staffing that we have now versus a year from now or 18 months from now? We have to make the change now. We can't wait 12 or 18 months.
Well, I
And
think
I don't know, I mean, I've never been a cop, I haven't been in the leadership role before with the police department, but we
Like
gotta
the
look
chief
at
was
doing something
saying,
differently.
you guys get to say, you guys get a seat at the table to talk about things like that. And that's definitely something that we can look at. I can tell you that our chief now, there's nothing off the table right now. We want to do the best we can, and we want to deploy the assets the best we can. And he does believe in evidence-based deployment. So if the numbers are there and that's going to best suit our assets and fulfill the community's needs, then absolutely, there's no reason why we wouldn't.
Okay, thank
We're
you.
not married to any one schedule.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I think going forward, because just for the lack of time, if anybody else has any more questions for the police department, if you could just put them on a card back there and put your information on the back, then they'll have the opportunity to get back to you.
Yeah, we'll answer every question.
And just to know that Chief Cortina has been our chief for about 2 months now. There, 6 months? 1 month? 2.5 weeks, so it's like time's going by fast. So, but he's a really engaged chief, and he really, I think we'll start seeing some big moves. He just hasn't had the chance to do it yet. We're gonna finish with you guys and let your questions come to you in a card form so that we can move forward so everybody can get home before it starts pouring really hard. But we have one question for Mike Flowers for our school board. And I'm gonna read it and let him make it real quick. Would I take our our question is, it's gonna go to Mike Flowers. This is Mike Flowers for the West Covina Unified School District. It's unsafe crosswalks on Durness and Orange and Orangewood Elementary School. The cars are blocking the crosswalks and the left and right turn lanes, and the cars are turning into the crosswalk while the parents and the children are in the crosswalks. That might be something that we will definitely, I'm gonna give this card to the PD so this can be answered later on, because this is also a PD question, but it's made by your together.
Good afternoon, everyone. I can speak to a little bit of this because, as a matter of fact, it's a city situation, and only probably speak on a little bit more because the last city council meeting, they said they have a $2.6 million grant for safety crosswalks that they're going to be implementing. They've been in the planning stage now till 2026, about 2027. That means the blinking lights, there were hand lights and blinking lights, stop lights, walking across the streets, but they can use. Only make me speak on that a little bit more. I learned this from the city council. I talked about it last night at the board meeting that I learned from it by listening to the city council. So things are in process for safety, but so the crosswalk, I mean, I don't want to do what I know, because it's going to help a lot. The $2.6 million grant. So, Oli, do you want to speak on that?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I think Orangewood was on the list for the, regards to the crosswalk that was mentioned by the city manager during the city council meeting. But even in addition to that, if whoever asked the question can email me the details, then my next step will be to instruct the traffic division to immediately to look at the matter and put it on the traffic committee meeting agenda, so that way it can be looked at. And in addition to that, law enforcement could also be sent their way. There was a similar or another situation at Telesis Academy off of Hollingworth, and because of that, that was brought to my attention. I did the same approach. So if you can, whoever asked the question, can email all the details to me, then I will reply within 24 hours. We will get the ball rolling just to resolve it right away. And I will report back regarding actions as things progress.
Will do, thank you.
Thank you.
We had
You
two
want to
other,
answer?
yeah, we had,
three questions.
we just, yeah, 3 questions.
One was about trimming the trees on Amar and Azusa. Some of the city staff that were gonna come didn't show up, so I can't answer.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There, right back at you.
Okay, so with regard to tree trimming, if there is a situation where the trees are overgrown, especially if it's a safety issue or there are other reasons, whatever the reasons may be, take a picture of that, give me the exact location, as well as the intersection, inside of the intersection, describe what the concern is, and then what I will do is I will send that to Public Works. We have contracts with West Coast arborists who can also do some tree trimming, and so then that will be the process where get the information to me, again, the same thing, same process where I will then reply, I will dispatch Public Works, and then they will then send West Coast arborists or somebody to get it taken care of. And I always ask Public Works or whatever staff, depending on whatever the situation is, to report back in writing, and to include the original resident who had the inquiry, so that that way there's full, not only transparency, but accountability to make sure that the thing gets resolved.
Excuse me, can I ask who asked that question? Oh, okay, Mondo did.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, because we have the same concerns.
Oh, good. Well, see, then that's how that works. We have another question for Mike Flowers for the school board. And I have to talk about the tree. I had a tree on my street that was so overgrown, and every time they cut it, it was just enough for the trash truck to go under. And it was like this big thing. And I called it in, and within 3 or 4 days, they trimmed it. It was beautiful. It worked so fast. But here's the next question for Mike Flowers. is what can be done about the family-controlled school board?
Yeah.
A little background on
I don't
that.
think you heard.
A little background on that is that our school board has 5 members, a brother, a sister, a best friend, Mr. Flowers, and Ms. Jimenez. Now, I don't know if you want to speak to this, but this is.
Speak to it, if anybody else wants to speak to it.
No, it's all right, it's all right.
Okay, we'll
That was
pass
that.
it, we'll pass it.
That's all,
Do you have a
we'll pass
question?
Yes. I already know my question is for Ole. Well, first of all, statement, thank you, Ole, for bringing Ole City Councilman here tonight.
Yes.
Earlier, Ole, they had put up a map on the screen here of the city divided, color-coded by when they're going to do the parking. You know, when they're gonna start the parking. Now, what the city did is they just divided it like this little map, and they color-coded it. What they didn't do was talk to Athens Services. I've lived in the same house since 1973. Our trash goes out on Sunday night, trash picks up on Monday, street sweeper comes on Tuesday. But according to the new schedule, street sweeping will be on Mondays, which he's just gonna go right down the middle of the street because the trash cans are out, and not gonna come on Tuesday. So I kind of think the city just divided it and color-coded it without going to Athens, because I live in the north side of the freeway, my girlfriend lives off of Vincent on the south side of the freeway, and both of us, our trash pickup is on Monday, and we're both going to be in the new street sweeping on Monday. So the city has to really look into what they're doing.
Thank you so much, Sherry. I actually know the folks who do the routing with regard to the street sweeping and everything. Would there be, and I'm not just saying it's the same process again, but I mean, can you email me all those details, and I will get back to you, and I'll report it on wherever you want, including on West Covina Neighbors Take Our Neighborhoods Back, wherever, to make sure that that's addressed. But can I do that? I'll loop in Athens as well as the street sweeping folks by email, and that way they can address it. And if you want to address it in person, I'll accompany you and I'll go with you to that meeting if that's what you'd like me to do to give support to make sure that process goes smoothly.
Okay, thank you.
Nobody is better than Ollie. Nobody is better than Ollie. Again, I'd like to follow back on what Sherry said is absolutely, I appreciate that he is the only city council person here. Everybody, you guys came out on the Wednesday in the rain. And
I don't know.
Go ahead,
Sherry.
My question is street sweeping. We know the residents' streets will be swept. I am not confident that the rest of the streets are being swept because the big windstorm we had a month ago or so, I had so many leaves in my street. I emailed my city councilman and I said, can we get this cleaned up? And I don't think they sweep the business streets. Can we work on that, Ole?
Yeah, matter of fact, I literally have the cell phone number on route. When sometimes people call me and I call them within 2 minutes and I ask them, please get right back over here right now and redo it. You know, I mean, so again, the same process. Show pictures of where the issue is, and if there's a specific time that it happens, etc., then I will be ready, and they are already on call and they know it, and they've been very supportive of whatever their issues brought to their attention. They take care of it literally within minutes, from what I've seen directly. So if they're with that specific location, get pictures for documentation, but get it to me, and then we'll take care of it. And then as a supplement to whatever you email, you can also call me, and then I will call them literally that minute. I'll give them a call and have them go back.
Thank you, Ole.
Sure.
Okay, if there's any other questions in cards, can you just get them up to me at the end, and then I'll make sure that they get to the proper person to be answered to?
I want to thank everybody for coming out on a Wednesday night. I know it's raining. I want to say thank you. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time. We will have another meeting. We will take all these issues, we will move forward. What we would like to do in the future
is get committees together and work on some of these issues and have more meetings. Thank you very much.
I have one other thing I just want to bring up real quickly, is when we were passing out the flyers for this meeting, we actually ran into and met a property management gentleman. His name is Clint Dalton. He's in the South Hills Community Center over there by the donut store, the on Azusa, right there by the gym. And he was cleaning up and doing a really good job keeping that center looking really good. And so we started talking to him. And through this brainstorming, he says, well, can we get a committee together of property management people? So I have a huge list, like this is property management contacts that I've had since 2018. So what we're gonna do as a result from this meeting is we're gonna put together another subcommittee of all of our property management guys so that they can brainstorm and put their heads together, and they have cameras that they're doing. They have he has cameras that go off after 10 o'clock. It says you're trespassing, you need to leave, the PD will come. And maybe these are some things that these other property management guys aren't aware of, but just the collective thinking, we're gonna put that subcommittee together, and I think it's gonna be a really positive thing for West Virginia. So in that, I'd like to thank all of you very much for coming out. I appreciate it. We'll look forward to having another meeting and grow from there.